Hello, hi, welcome once again to M5's new English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV screen to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay. Well, let's learn English together. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, hello, hi and welcome once again. Welcome one and welcome all. Who on earth are you? Oh! Okay. Hello everyone out there in Hungarian TV land. Are you ready for some more English? I hope so. Otherwise you're watching the wrong TV program. Okay, now, who remembers what we learned last lesson? Good, I know you all remember. Last lesson, we learned about some more family relationships. We learned that my father or my mother's brother is my uncle, and my father's or my mother's sister is my aunt. We learned that because I'm a man, I'm my uncle's nephew, and I'm my aunt's nephew. My sister is my uncle's niece. My sister is my aunt's niece. So boys and men can only be nephews, and girls and women can only be nieces. Great balls of grease. Okay, Starbar, Nutty, Curly Whirly, Caramel, Flake, Aero. Okay, now, back to the lesson. What else did we learn last lesson? Correct-a-doodle-doo. We started to look at comparative adjectives. We learned about old and older, young and younger, and short and shorter. Good. Now, where was the problem area with the comparative adjectives? Do you remember? Well, with the comparative adjectives we saw last lesson, taller, younger and shorter, we can see that to make the comparative form of the adjective, we add er to the end of the adjective. Tall becomes taller, young becomes younger, and short becomes shorter. Good. But we have to be careful with the spelling of some comparative adjectives. If the adjective is a short word, if it only has one syllable, then we add er to the end to make the comparative form. Do you remember syllables? A syllable is a sound in a word. My name has got 2 syllables, Gavin. Budapest has got 3 syllables, Budapest. Vegetable has got 3 syllables. The word vegetable looks like it's got 4 syllables, but listen to me when I say it. Vegetables. Can you hear? It's only got 3 syllables. Vegetables. So, vegetables is not pronounced vegetables, but vegetables. So vegetables has got 3 syllables, not 4. Some Hungarian words have got lots of syllables. Elfogadhatatlan, for example. Elfogadhatatlan. 6 syllables in one word. Crazy! Okay, so we know what a syllable is, and we know that syllables are important. If the adjective has got 1 syllable, we know that it's a short adjective, and we know that we add er to make the comparative form. Good. Now, let's look at some more spelling rules for the comparative form. We know that if the adjective has got 1 syllable, we add er to the end of the adjective to make the comparative form. Great. Now, who remembers vowels and consonants? You all do. I know, I was just testing you. Okay, so, just to make sure, vowels are A, E, I, O, and U. And consonants are B, C, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, M, N, P, Q, R, S, T, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Great. Now, if the adjective ends in vowel plus consonant, then what happens? Well, if the end of the adjective is vowel plus consonant, we double the last letter before adding ER. So, can we think of an adjective which ends in vowel plus consonant? Well, what about the adjective big? That ends in vowel plus consonant, doesn't it? I is a vowel and G is a consonant. Okay, OJ. So this means that when we make the comparative form, we double the last letter before we add ER. So big becomes bigger. Great. And what about that other group? Which group, Gav? The group of words that ends in Y. Oh, that group. Yes, that group. So, what happens to an adjective which ends in Y? How do we change the adjective to make the comparative form? Well, with adjectives ending in Y, we replace the Y with IER. So, happy, for example, becomes happier. The comparative form of happy is happier. We replace the Y with IER. Great. So happy becomes happier, easy becomes easier, and early becomes earlier. Okay, great. So now we know how to make comparative forms for different adjectives. Short adjectives, those adjectives with one syllable, are easy. We just add ER. If the adjective ends in vowel plus consonant, we double the last letter and then add ER. If the adjective ends in Y, then we replace the Y with IER to make the comparative form. Good. Now what about longer adjectives? Well, if the adjective has 2 or 3 or 4 syllables, then we don't change the adjective. We put more in front of it. So, if we have a long adjective like careful, for example, the comparative form is not carefuler, but more careful. If we look at the adjective expensive, the comparative form is not expensiver, but more expensive. If we look at the adjective interesting, then the comparative form is not interestinger, but more interesting. Now, before we start practicing comparative adjectives, there's a couple which are irregular. Ha! Irregular words in English? Surely not. Yes, but you know that we don't have to panic. We are, well, what are we? Come on. What? That's right. We are gods of English. Say it again. What are we? We're gods of English. Shout it, scream it, frighten the dog and scare the cat as we tell the world, we are gods of English. Okay, back to earth. So, let's have a look at the irregular adjectives. Okay, now here's good and well. In the comparative form, they change to better. I'm good at cooking. My wife is better. How do you feel normally? Normally, I feel well. How do you feel when you win the lottery? When I win the lottery, I feel better. The adjective bad also changes in a strange way. The comparative form for bad is worse. When you have a toothache, you feel bad. But if someone shoots you, you feel worse. Fantastic. Twix, Revels, Maltesers, peanut treats, marathon. Okay, so let's recap. If the adjective is short, if it only has one syllable, then we add er to the end to make the comparative form. If the adjective ends in vowel plus consonant, we double the last letter and add er. If the adjective ends in y, then we change the y to 3 or 4 syllables, then we put more in front of the adjective to make the comparative. If the adjective is good or well, then the comparative form is better. If the adjective is bad, then the comparative form is worse. Okay, great. Now let's see if we know the comparative form for the following adjectives. Old, older, large, larger, strong, stronger, modern, more modern, intelligent, more intelligent. Great! Well done! Fantastic! So, now that we managed that task, let's think about opposites. So, there are 2 possibilities, hard and difficult. So, what's the opposite of easier? Well, hard is a short adjective. It's only got 1 syllable. So how do we make the comparative form? Good. We add er. So hard becomes harder. Great. Now what about difficult? Well, difficult is a long adjective. How many syllables has it got? Difficult. 3. Difficult has got 3 syllables. So how do we make the comparative? Good! You remember. We put more in front of the adjective. So the comparative form of the adjective difficult is more difficult. Okay, what about the adjective cold? What's the opposite of cold? That's right. The opposite of cold is hot. And what's the comparative form for the adjective hot? Well, it's a short adjective. It's only got 1 syllable. So how do we make the comparative form? Good. We add er. But wait, hot ends in vowel plus consonant, doesn't it? So what happens to the end of the adjective when we make the comparative form? That's right. We double the last letter. Okay, so the comparative form for the adjective hot is hotter. Okay, now, what about the opposite of better? Aha! This is an irregular one. Do you remember? That's right. And the comparative form of bad is worse. So, the opposite of better is worse. Well done! So, let's think about the opposites of these adjectives and then make the comparative form for both adjectives. Cold, hot, colder, hotter. Tall, short, taller, shorter. Good, bad, better, worse. Easy, hard, easier, harder. Easy, difficult, easier, more difficult. Great! Excellent! Well done, everyone. Oh, elephant's toenails. We're out of time. Okay, that's all the time we have for today's lesson. You've been watching me, Gav Duncan, on M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I had fun. I hope you had fun too. I'll see you next time for some more fun with the comparative form. See you later. Bye. Oh, and I'm Gav Duncan. I'm not Michael J. Fox, and I'm not Michael Dudikoff. I'm Gav Duncan, and I'll see you next time.